Welcome to the top lessons. Today we are going to talk about globe, its latitudes and longitudes. So what is globe? Globe is a small spherical model of the earth. It can have various sizes and types, but it has the exact shape as the earth. That means the geoid shape. Geoid shape is the special name given to the shape of the earth, including all the landforms it has, including these mountains, plateaus and all. So the exact shape of the earth is called geoid shape. So the globe is the replica or the model of the earth, because whenever we are going to study about earth, or if we are looking at various places in other countries or any country, in that case, since earth is very big, so while looking for the places or the areas, it is convenient to use the globe, so that we can have the idea about the various places, the important cities wherever they are present in the countries. So globe is very useful. It is used for studying about earth. So globe actually shows us the correct shapes and location of the important cities or the mountains, oceans and all. So globe can be in various size. It can be very small. It can be kept in pocket also. It can be big enough. It can be ballooned also. Like whenever we are carrying a big globe, we can take out the air and we can pack it and we can take it with it. And once we are reached to a place, we can fill the air in again and we can use the globe for the purpose. So let us talk about the shape of the earth, which is the geoid shape. So the actual shape of earth is not a spherical shape. It is flat at the poles, north pole and south poles, and little bulgient at the center or near the equator. So it looks like a ellipsoid like a shape, but in reality, including the various landforms, the domains, it has the rough type of shape. That means it is not completely smooth. So that is why we say that the actual shape of the earth is called geoid, and geoid is actually derived or originated from Greek word ge or geo, which means related to earth or earth. So that is why the shape of the earth is called geoid shape. So you can see this picture. The green outline shows the actual shape of the earth. On the other hand, ellipsoid is almost match to this shape. So it is not spherical. It is near to ellipsoid, and actual shape is called geoid shape. So let us come back to globe. Globe is exactly modeled in a way as the earth is actually present in the solar system. Earth is having little tilt in along with its axis. It is actually having some angle. So globe is also designed in a way so that it represent the actual earth, so including its rotation. So globe is also made to rotate about its axis. So let us talk about the angle at which earth is inclined. As you can see here, this axis of the earth is the imaginary line passing from north pole to the south pole. So it is its axis, and about its axis earth rotates, and because of this rotation we experience the day and night. So in actual orientation of the earth in the solar system, earth is little tilted at an angle. The angle value is 23.5 degree or 23 degree 30 minutes with respect to the perpendicular to the plane of the orbit. So here if we see this picture, the pink colored plane is showing the plane of sun or the plane of orbit, and the orange color plane is showing the plane of equator. Equator is the imaginary line exactly perpendicular to the axis and dividing the earth into two equal parts, the northern half and southern half. So these two planes are having angle of 23 degree and 30 minutes. So this angle of tilt of the earth is called obliquity of earth. So with this tilt only, earth keep rotating in the orbit around the sun. Also it moves along the path or the orbit as well as the rotation of the earth about its own axis. So this is how its orientation is present in the solar system. Here is another picture. You can have the idea. The red line is showing the axis of the earth, and it is actually having 23.5 degree angle or angle of obliquity with the perpendicular to the plane of the sun or orbit. So as I told, equator is an imaginary line dividing the earth into two equal halves. So it is like a imaginary line, or that line is actually circular line, a circle around the earth at the center, and this circular line is actually perpendicular to the axis, or circular plane is the perpendicular to the axis, and this circular plane or equator divides the earth into two equal halves. The north half is called northern hemisphere and south half is called southern hemisphere. So till now we have talked about a few important terms like geoid shape, angle of obliquity, equator, axis, and the plane of orbit, and also perpendicular to the plane of orbit. So now let us talk about few important terms which are used to find the location of any place on the earth. So these are the reference lines used for that. So let us talk about them one by one. First is latitudes. Latitudes are the parallel lines around the globe making the circle, and they are also starting from equator. So our equator, which is the circular curve, is the biggest latitude, and from that the circular paths are moving towards the poles from the equator to north pole as well as south pole. So here you can see in this picture the green lines which shows the latitudes. They are also called the parallels of latitude. So this line at the center where this equator is being shown in red color, this is the largest circle which can be made on the earth horizontally, and it is called the equator. It is dividing the earth into equal parts, and above that we have the green circular paths. They are parallel to each other. All the green lines or parallels of latitudes are parallel to each other. That is why they are called parallels of latitude, and they are going up to north pole as well as south pole. So as you can see, the size of the circles decreasing at equator. It is having the maximum size, and then it is decreasing as we move towards the pole. So when we reach at the pole, the radius of the circle becomes 0. That means it becomes a point. So starting with the biggest circle at equator and then moving towards north as well as south, we reach to the poles. There we have the 0 size circle, or we can say them as points. So these parallels of latitudes are equidistant from each other. That means they are having a regular distance between them. That is how they are parallel. Along with that, in this picture itself, you can see the other lines, the red ones. They are called longitudes as well as meridians. They also have importance in telling the location of any place. They are exactly perpendicular to the latitudes. So we will talk about them now. First of all, let us talk about these features of latitudes. What are the important points about latitudes? Let us know about that. So latitudes are parallel to each other, as I have told you, and have equal distance from each other all along the latitudes. Like everywhere, all the circles, we can have so many circles, we can have this, and they are parallel to each other. These latitudes are full circles everywhere except the poles. As I told, at poles they are just points. and equator circle is the biggest, and it decreases its size when we move towards the pole. So important latitudes. So these latitudes are actually measured in terms of degree. So at equator we are taking reference and we are taking the value as 0 degree, and when we move towards north side we have the latitude value increasing in terms of angle, and we are putting n to show that we are moving towards the north hemisphere or northern hemisphere. That is why we are putting this letter n there. Similarly, if we are moving towards south, we are putting s. So there, these are some important latitudes are there. At specific values we have specific circles, they are called the important latitudes. So at 0 we have a biggest circle around the earth, that is called equator, and when we move towards north side at angle of 23.5 degree north we get to a circle, and this circle is known as Tropic of Cancer. Tropic of Cancer. And then if we move up to 66.5 degree north, then we reach up to Arctic Circle, which is, it is near to Arctic Ocean. That's why it is called Arctic Circle. And at North Pole the angle is 90 degree. Similarly, when we move towards south we have Tropic of Capricorn at 23.5 degree south, and Antarctic Circle at 66.5 degree south, and at South Pole it is 90 degree. So this is the picture showing these important latitudes. So in this at the center in green color you can see this equator having 0 degree, and when we move towards north or south both, we reach to the tropics. The first one at the top is Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn at the in the south direction. So both are equidistant from equator. Similarly, for Arctic as well as Antarctic Circle, both are equidistant from equator, having the value of 66.5 degree both the sides, and at same goes for the North Pole and South Pole. These lines are not looking parallel or having different shapes just because this is a 2D picture of the Earth. And when we talk about the Earth in 3D, the circles which are presented over that, they are completely parallel to each other and equidistant. So these are the important latitudes, and also along with that we are talking about some temperature zones which we are going to talk about in detail further. So depending upon these latitudes we have important temperature zones decided. Between the tropics we have Torrid zone between Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn, which is shown in color, this green color. And above that, between Arctic Circle and Tropic of Cancer we have North Temperate zone, and in south we have South Temperate zone between Tropic of Capricorn and Antarctic Circle. And near the poles between Arctic Circle and North Pole and Antarctic Circle and South Pole we have Frigid zone. This Frigid zone is very cold and this Torrid zone is very hot, and in between the temperature is moderate, that is why they are called temperate. Moderate temperature, that is why we are calling them temperate zone. So that is how this three important temperature zones are found on the Earth. So these are called heat zones. And why they are having different types of temperature, let us understand that. This is the picture showing that, see, as you are aware that this Earth is little tilted with the angle of obliquity. So because of that it is little tilted, and only the equator area or the area between the tropics is getting maximum heat or direct heat in most of the time of the year. That is why this area receives maximum heat from the sun. That is why it remains hot and humid. And when we move towards north side or towards the south side, you can see the angular rays coming from the sun. From the sun you can see this angular rays, and also traveling long distances, not directly falling straight on the areas. That is why these areas are receiving heat less as compared to the equator. That is why this is these two areas, the temperate zones, are having moderate temperature. On the other hand, this frigid zone, there the sun rays are not reaching properly. That is why these regions are very cold. These polar zones are very cold. That is why we call them frigid zones. So now I hope you understand the reason of the temperature difference for these three zones. In tropical zone, between the tropics of Cancer and Capricorn, we call that area as tropical zone. Tropical zones receive the maximum heat, and because of that maximum heat throughout the year, it remains hot and humid throughout the year. And when we move in the north direction, we reach to the north temperate zone between Tropic of Cancer and Arctic Circle. Similarly, we have the south temperate zone. There the sun rays are reaching at some angle, not directly falling at that area. That is why they will receive the less heat, and the temperature will be moderate. And at north and south pole, the sun rays are not reaching properly, so they receive the minimum heat, and they are the coldest places of earth, and that is why we call them as frigid zones. So as I told about torrid zone, or we also call them tropical region, because they are between the tropics. The values are given, latitude values. They are very hot and humid climate. Similarly, we talked about temperate zone. They are found between Tropic of Cancer. They are found between 23.5 degree to 66.5 degree in both the directions, north as well as south. So that is the range for them. For torrid, the range was 23.5 north to 23.5 south, and here in temperate zone we have two separate temperate zone, one in the north direction, another one in the south direction. Both have the same range, 23.5 to 66.5 degree. So these temperature zones are moderate, as I told, because slanted sun rays fall upon them. Even at the noon, that means even at the afternoon time, or exactly at 12 o'clock in the after in the day, in the afternoon, at the noon, they receive the slanted rays of sun. That is why the heat received by the areas is less as compared to the other places in tropic zone. Similarly, we talked about frigid zone. They are very cold, and their range is between 66.5 to 90 in both the directions. Similarly, we have this north frigid zone as well as south frigid zone. And there, because of this tilted orientation of the earth, this frigid zones have 6 months of days or 6 months of night, and they do not see the days. They do not see the sun for 6 months during the night. In fact, they do not see the sun for 6 months. That is why once the polar area, whether it is north or south, whatever it is exposed toward the earth, that experience the daylight for constantly 6 months. And then after 6 months, when the orientation of earth or the exposed area towards the sun changes, then that area where there was a day for 6 months, it changes to night, and it remains 6 months of night. So that is how at poles we have 6 months of night and 6 months of days. Okay, now let us talk about longitudes. We have talked about latitudes. Another important thing is longitudes, which are vertical imaginary lines or semicircle lines. As you can see here, they are also represented in terms of angles, starting with 0 at the prime meridian. We are taking one reference. As you can see here in this picture, the prime meridian, the dark dotted line at the center, this is the reference or the middle line we are taking, middle semicircle, and from east side we are going, and similarly we can go towards west side. So if we move towards east side and go exactly behind the globe on this picture, similarly if we move towards west and behind exactly behind this globe, we reach to the same place. While doing so, in both the sides we complete 180-degree. So that is how we understand that for these longitudes we have total value of 360, 180 on each side. 180 we move in the east direction, which the arrow is being shown there, and similarly on the opposite side 180, so total 360-degree. And why this arrow is being shown in the east direction? Because our earth rotates from west to east side. The way it is being shown, it rotates in that way. Or suppose if we are looking from up of this globe, then it will rotate for us in the anti-clock direction. So this is the orientation and rotation of the earth, and because of that we have total 360-degree in a full circle. So as we told that latitudes are parallel circles, but these longitudes are not parallel. As you can see, they are starting from north pole and similarly they are getting end at south pole. So these semicircles are the longitudes, which we call them. They are the semicircles. They are starting from north pole and ending at south pole in all the directions. So if we take the reference at 0-degree at prime meridian, and why we have taken this reference? Because it is passing through the Royal Observatory at Greenwich. It is in London, UK. That is how we are taking it as reference, the center line, prime meridian. And on the all the other semicircle lines, which are vertical lines, as you can see, vertical semicircles, they are called simply the meridians or longitudes. So they are not parallel, they are ending and all are meeting at poles, both the poles, and they are covering 180 in each direction, east as well as west. So these two reference line, we can find out the location of any place on the globe by using these two reference lines, longitude and latitude. So these are the coordinates. It tells that whether we are present in the northern hemisphere or the southern hemisphere. So if we are having any latitude value in terms of n, then we are present in the northern half of the earth. Similarly, if we talk about this prime meridian, if we have any value in the east direction, then we are present in the eastern hemisphere. So this prime meridian is also doing the same thing, dividing the earth into two equal halves. First half is called eastern hemisphere and the other half is called the western hemisphere. So basically we are doing the division of earth in two parts, one by using by equator, northern and southern, and here by prime meridian we are doing the eastern and western hemisphere. So any two let us talk about few important features of longitudes. So any two longitudes have maximum distance between them at equator, and it in the distance between two longitude decreases and it reaches zero at poles because they converge at poles. As I told in this picture, you can see here near the equator or at the center, they are having the maximum distance between two longitudes or two vertical semicircles, and then it is decreasing and at poles they are meeting. So that is how we say that they have the minimum distance at poles. Longitudes are perpendicular to the latitudes. Latitudes are horizontal and longitudes are vertical. Longitudes running through Royal Observatory at Greenwich in London. That is why we are taking that as reference. So it was just decided as reference. So that is why we call it as Greenwich meridian or prime meridian. So this meridian is another name for longitudes. Longitudes divide the earth into equal part, eastern and western hemisphere, and total they cover 360-degree, 180 on each side. And same as we represented north and south in the latitudes, here we represent east and west. So we take the letters E and W. So depending upon that, we can tell the location of any place. So here the perpendicular lines, horizontal as well as these vertical lines, we called them the latitudes and longitudes. They can be represented as the grid lines. So basically these type of orientation they make, so they make a grid, and using this grid we can find out the location of any place. For example, this is just for explanation. We have 5 latitudes A, B, C, D, E and 4 longitudes. So if we want to find out the location of any point, suppose for example A, so A is actually present on B latitude and first longitude. So that is how its coordinate or location will be B and 1. Similarly for B it will be D and 1. For C it will be C and 3. So that is how for any place we can find out the value. Okay, so this was the example which we talked about. Now let us talk about the latitude and longitudes of India. Here in this map you can see this red colored area. It is our India. So it has the values of latitude as well as longitude. Latitudes are the horizontal line and longitudes are the vertical lines. So the exact value, if we take out that particular area out from that big picture, we reach to this and we find out that the latitude is actually horizontal line, and we are our country is lying between 8 degree and 4 minute north to 37 degree and 6 minute north. So basically we are lying in the part of northern hemisphere. So we are part of northern hemisphere. Similarly for the longitudes, we lie between, our country lies between 68 degrees 7 minute east to 97 degree 25 minutes east. So here by the symbol itself you can understand we are part of northern hemisphere and eastern hemisphere. So our area, our country is found in the northern eastern hemisphere. So that is how we can actually find out the location of any place by using these latitudes and longitudes. So these are the values for our latitude and longitude for our country. So I hope you understood this and like this. If you have any doubts you can put into the comments. If you have any suggestions also you can give into the comments. And thank you so much for watching. Please like, share and subscribe to the channel so that you can get the updates whenever some new lecture is uploaded. Thank you so much.